owning more than 100 houses, over 100 luxury cars, and keeping more than 100 mistresses. He was Lai Xiaomin, the biggest corrupt official since the founding of New China. His so-called 300s once caused a nationwide sensation. Yet this man, seen by many as a god of wealth, started out as nothing more than a poor boy from a small mountain village in Jiangxi. How did someone of such humble origins rise so quickly through the ranks? And how did he manage to juggle so many mistresses without it all collapsing on him? Lai Xiaomin was born in July 1962, in a small mountain village in Ruijin, Jiangxi. He was the youngest of 5 children, the youngest in the family. Back then, supplies were scarce, and like most families of that era, the Lai household was desperately poor. From an early age, Lai Xiaomin endured a hard life. His father first made a living by pushing a 2-wheeled cart, delivering goods to feed the family. His mother patched clothes and sewed buttons for others to earn a little extra. But even with both parents working, it was barely enough to raise 5 children. The family lived from one meal to the next. Years of malnutrition left Lai Xiaomin underdeveloped and short in stature. Seeing their hardship, the local commune arranged for his father to work as a clerk at a state-run store. Only then was the family able to put food on the table. Studying can change your fate. This was a phrase his parents repeated often. So once he started school, Lai Xiaomin threw himself into his studies. In 1979, at just 17 years old, he topped the liberal arts exam in Ruijin and was admitted to Jiangxi University of Finance and Economics, majoring in national economic planning. He was not only the first college student in his village, but also the only one in the entire county to study in the provincial capital. Even after getting into college, Lai Xiaomin did not slack off. Though his living conditions remained harsh, he pushed himself even harder. He survived on a top-level national scholarship, 21.5 yuan a month. Of that, 17.5 yuan went to meals, and the rest he spent on books and daily necessities. This frugal lifestyle taught him the importance of financial management. Combined with his major in economics, it was the perfect blend of theory and practice, laying the groundwork for his future success in the financial world. In the 1980s, China's reform was in full swing, and the country urgently needed talent in economics and finance. In 1983, at the age of 21, Lai Xiaomin graduated from college. That same year, the Planning and Funding Department of the People's Bank of China came to the university to recruit. Although Lai Xiaomin had excellent grades, with no family background or connections, getting into such a prestigious institution was far from easy. By chance, the recruiter had once worked in Ruijin and knew that Lai came from a revolutionary base area. This gave him special consideration. Thus, Lai Xiaomin became one of only 2 students from his year to land a coveted position at China's central bank. After entering the People's Bank of China, Lai Xiaomin cherished this hard-won opportunity. He worked with caution and diligence. In the eyes of his leaders and colleagues, he was a hard-working, dependable young man who quietly got things done. As reforms deepened, the central government called for younger leadership, a new generation of well-educated cadres to be promoted. With the consistently good impression he left on others, Lai Xiaomin naturally made the shortlist for advancement. In July 1987, at just 25 years old, he was promoted to Deputy Director of the Central Funds Division under the Planning and Funding Department of the People's Bank of China. From that point on, his political career began to soar. By April 2003, at the age of 41, Lai Xiaomin was transferred to the China Banking Regulatory Commission's Second Department of Bank Supervision, where he served as a deputy bureau-level official, officially stepping into the ranks of senior cadres. The CBRC was the direct regulator of banks and other financial institutions. Lai's position there was critical, giving him control over the lifeline of many financial institutions. Naturally, countless people sought to curry favor with him. Lai Xiaomin also proved capable. In many areas of the financial sector, he achieved notable results. Leaders valued him highly, and his path to promotion was smooth. He went on to serve as director and party secretary of the CBRC Beijing office, and later as director of the CBRC General Office. With both power and wealth in his hands, Lai Xiaomin was already a man who could command the winds within China's financial system. In 2007, he welcomed an even greater opportunity to amass fortune. At that time, China's 4 major state-owned banks were burdened with hundreds of billions in non-performing assets that could not be recovered. The country urgently sought a capable hand to tackle the problem. As the CBRC's General Office Director and spokesperson, Lai Xiaomin was identified as the man for the job. At the time, he was studying at the Central Party School's Youth Leadership Program. Never did he imagine that such a heavy responsibility would suddenly fall onto his shoulders. When Lai Xiaomin reviewed the report submitted by China Huarong's finance department, he felt that the company was nothing short of a hot potato. If mishandled, it could ruin his chances of climbing higher. He repeatedly expressed to his superiors his unwillingness to leave the CBRC. But in the end, Lai Xiaomin was persuaded, and the decision was made for him. In January 2009, Lai Xiaomin was appointed Deputy Party Secretary and President of China Huarong Asset Management Company, Limited, becoming what was called the Chief Steward of the Great Asset Management Era. From the very start, Lai put on the image of a tireless workhorse, frequently appearing in the media and on television with a high profile. He pushed forward Huarong's transformation, and with his background at the CBRC, Lai gradually secured for Huarong nearly all the key licenses in the financial industry. Under his lead, Huarong quickly expanded into the stock market and real estate. In less than 5 years, he successfully revived the company. In 2012, with state approval, Huarong was restructured into a joint stock company. That September, Lai Xiaomin was promoted to Chairman and Party Secretary of China Huarong Asset Management, becoming the undisputed #1 at the company. That same year, he was also named one of China's top 10 financial figures of the year by Banker magazine. For a time, his star power was unmatched. He became one of the most sought-after figures in the financial world. With power in his grasp, Lai Xiaomin quickly swelled with arrogance. He began abusing his control over personnel appointments, promoting allies and sidelining opponents. From top management positions all the way down to cafeteria chefs and cleaning staff, he replaced many roles with people from his hometown. In truth, the selection of key state-owned enterprise officials was supposed to be decided collectively by the party committee. But Lai Xiaomin held 3 roles simultaneously: party secretary, chairman, and legal representative, turning himself into a one-man authority who ignored all dissent. In an environment of failed and absent oversight, sitting atop mountains of wealth, Lai Xiaomin grew increasingly corrupt and degenerate, eating away at the people's assets step by step. Those were years of stock market volatility and runaway real estate growth. Combined with Huarong's wide portfolio of financial licenses, the company's total assets ballooned at a staggering pace. By 2017, under Lai's watch, Huarong's net assets had skyrocketed from 15.6 billion yuan when he first took office to 182.6 billion yuan. Its total assets soared to 1.87 trillion yuan, an increase of nearly 57 times. At the year-end performance conference in 2017, Lai Xiaomin joked that in his 8 years at Huarong, he had lost 20 pounds. "I made the company fat, but I got thinner myself." He meant it as a boast of his dedication. But those who knew the truth were well aware. Lai Xiaomin was using his position not only to amass staggering illicit wealth, but also to indulge in a life of endless mistresses and moral decay. After arriving at Huarong, Lai Xiaomin became very attentive to his health. Every day he insisted on running for an hour on the treadmill, and 3 times a week he went swimming. But he didn't maintain his fitness for the sake of work. He did it purely for women. Lai Xiaomin was deeply patriarchal. His wife had only given him a daughter, and even in his 50s, already a grandfather, he still obsessed over having a son, clinging to the idea of continuing his bloodline. Once he took office at Huarong, he gradually stopped returning home, choosing instead to spend his nights in the comfort of various mistresses. As a man with unchecked authority inside Huarong, whenever he set his eyes on a woman in the company, he would arrange signals and opportunities to approach her. If she did not give in, he resorted to more aggressive methods: temptation, coercion, even threats, until she became his mistress. To keep them loyal, he gave them money, and even promoted them into suitable positions within the company. Outside the firm, business tycoons eager to work with Huarong also took advantage of his lust. Knowing Lai's tastes, they constantly sent beautiful women his way. Any woman who pleased him would have her name written down, and soon after, he would arrange for her to be placed inside Huarong as well. In just a few years, from general managers to department heads, nearly half of Huarong's leadership positions were occupied by Lai Xiaomin's mistresses. They became his loyal insiders, helping him tighten his control over the company. To cover his tracks, Lai arranged for Huarong's real estate subsidiary to develop luxury housing projects in Zhuhai, far from Beijing. More than 100 apartments there were handed out to his mistresses, both as compensation and as convenient hideouts for his visits. With so many women, over 100 in total, Lai had to keep them numbered, to avoid mixing them up or forgetting who was who. Whenever he remembered one, he would send a message in advance, then show up at her residence for pleasure. Sometimes, Lai Xiaomin also wanted a change of taste. If he had his eye on a certain celebrity, wealthy businessmen would eagerly make the connection, ensuring Lai got whatever he desired. It was said that for him, spending a night with a household name actress was as casual and easy as an ordinary man grabbing fast food. With power in his hands, careful arrangements in place, and money flowing without restraint, Lai Xiaomin managed to juggle this sprawling harem without a single public scandal. But if Lai Xiaomin was ruthless in hunting women, he was even more ruthless when it came to making money. In those years in Hong Kong, Lai Xiaomin was known as the god of wealth. He became famous for his bold acquisitions and speculative plays in the Hong Kong stock market. Countless Hong Kong businessmen wanted to build ties with him. Among them was Ji Xiaobo, the controller of Tianqing International. Ji had once worked as a junket operator in casinos, and his girlfriend was Taiwanese actress Wu Peizi. Knowing Lai Xiaomin's love of gambling, Ji catered to him, flying him to Hong Kong and Macau to indulge and squander. From casinos to luxury hotels, from fine dining to women from all over the world, Ji arranged everything with meticulous care. Thanks to Lai Xiaomin's support, Tianqing International skyrocketed from a penny stock trading around $1 Hong Kong to nearly $9 Hong Kong. To the outside world, Ji Xiaobo looked like a financial shark. But in reality, he was merely the frontman. The true mastermind behind the curtain was Lai Xiaomin. On October 30, 2015, China Huarong was listed on the main board of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Under Lai's lead, the Huarong Empire invested in numerous Hong Kong-listed companies in the secondary market, including China Mining, C.Banner, China Aircraft Leasing, Zhuguang Holdings, Dinghy Investment Group, and many more. When stock prices surged and state capital rushed in, Lai Xiaomin manipulated matters from the shadows, causing the prices to collapse. By heavily shorting, he let the nation's investments evaporate, while he pocketed enormous profits for himself. Beyond his Hong Kong connections, Lai also had a Jiangxi clique, a group of fellow townsmen who banded together to seek profit. Their biggest channel of gains came from real estate developers. In Beijing, there is a well-known housing project called Zhonghong Pixel. Its tiny apartments were packed with young migrants struggling to survive in the capital. Behind this project stood developer Wang Yonghong, a businessman from Jiangxi. His company, Zhonghong Holdings, received over 5 billion yuan in startup funds, all supplied by Huarong under Lai Xiaomin's control. The project made Wang enormously wealthy. Lai himself reaped hundreds of apartments and hundreds of luxury cars through the deal. To him, the money he controlled had already made other businessmen rich, so taking his cut seemed only natural. What he failed to recognize was that the power and money he wielded never belonged to him. He was merely abusing his authority for personal gain. And self-destruction always brings retribution. As more and more of Huarong's funds flowed into the stock market and real estate, and along the way, into Lai Xiaomin's own pockets, the downfall was already being written. Under Lai Xiaomin's leadership, the hole in Huarong's finances grew larger and larger. A company whose mission was to resolve non-performing assets ended up creating a massive pile of new bad debts in just a few years. Ultimately, the losses to state-owned assets exceeded 20 billion yuan. Such an enormous deficit was impossible for Huarong to cover up. Before long, it drew the attention of the disciplinary and supervisory authorities. On April 17, 2018, China's Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, CCDI, and the National Supervisory Commission announced that Lai Xiaomin was under investigation for serious violations of party discipline and the law. The official notice stated that Lai Xiaomin had abused his power, severely corrupted the company's political environment, and engaged in power for sex exchanges with multiple women. He was accused of using his position to seek benefits for others, accepting vast sums in bribes, and illegally misappropriating public funds for personal use. Lai Xiaomin had squandered enormous amounts of state property. When inspectors raided one of his Beijing residences, they discovered safes stuffed with cash, 3 tons in total, amounting to 200 million yuan. Lai referred to these secret properties as his supermarkets. Inside, beyond the cash, investigators found luxury watches, gold, calligraphy, paintings, antiques, and countless other valuables. Lai himself admitted that once he had the money, he never dared to spend it, living each day in constant fear. In the end, everything he had hidden was seized by the authorities. After his arrest, the once arrogant and domineering Lai Xiaomin appeared utterly terrified of death. He quickly confessed and expressed remorse. But none of it was enough to save him. The investigation revealed that his corruption involved more than 1.788 billion yuan, setting a record in the history of corruption in New China. The bribes were staggering, the crimes extraordinarily severe. The court ruled that Lai Xiaomin's case had caused immense social harm and could not be dealt with leniently. On the morning of January 29, 2021, with approval from the Supreme People's Court, 59-year-old Lai Xiaomin was executed by the death penalty, bringing to an end a life consumed by boundless greed. That concludes today's account. What are your thoughts on this case? We welcome your discussion in the comments below. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Case Diaries. There are plenty more cases coming your way. Got thoughts on today's story? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.